Alex Reina, Mr. Mario Silva,
Present.
Mr. Fred Perez,
Present.
and Mr. Tony Torres. Thank you. 1.2, public comment. We don't have public comment. Let's move on to 2.1, the presentation by Mr. Matthew Montemayor, CPA for Carr, Riggs, and Ingram on the 22-23 district audit. Yes, sir.
Well, good evening, Board President, members of the board, Superintendent. My name is Matthew Montemayor. I'm an audit partner with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, and I'm here today to present to you your audit report. This is for your most recent fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. I believe you've been provided a copy of the audit report and all of its contents in the report. I'm going to do my best to summarize some of the information, be brief, and kind of cover the results of the audit, as well as some of the financial information that's included in your audit report. It's a fairly large report, nearly 200 pages long, so I went ahead and prepared a PowerPoint presentation to kind of highlight some of the information in it. As an introduction, like I mentioned, I did serve as an engagement partner on the audit. These are some of the responsibilities of the engagement partner, including overseeing the development of the audit plan, overseeing the execution of the audit field work, as well as authorizing the release of the independent auditor's report, which contains our opinion on your financial statements prior to its issuance. So. We do also have an engagement quality control reviewer that serves on the audit. This is a second partner that kind of serves like a second set of eyes to ensure that the audit report contains all the technical disclosures that are required by TEA, as well as all of the financial statements tie out to your footnote disclosure. So that just kind of ensures the quality of the report that you have in front of you. This slide I won't spend too much time on, but this kind of just highlights all the contents of your report. Your district goes above and beyond the minimum requirements and presents a comprehensive report. What makes it a comprehensive report is you have information such as a transmittal letter or statistical schedules that are included in the report. Those are all listed out here. One item I will mention is the management discussion and analysis section. That section of the audit report provides a good narrative overview of the entire report. So if you didn't have time to read the entire report and go through all the schedules, if you looked at the MD&A, you could get a good idea of what the contents of the report is. It does have condensed financial information about the general fund, budgetary information as well. So your MD&A is a good section of the report to review. This is just a little bit about the audit process. The audit process is composed of two components. We do audit the financial statements of the district, as well as the federal single audit. Your district does receive and expend over $750,000 in federal awards, so you're required to have a federal single audit over compliance. We audit the basic financial statements of the governmental activities, and we also audit for compliance with the compliance requirements described in the OMB compliance supplement, compliance with the federal awards that you have received and expended during the year. During the year, the two major programs that we did audit were your ESSER funds, as well as the Child Nutrition Cluster, your food service programs. So those were the two programs that we did audit this year. Next, I'm going to kind of cover the results of the audit, the opinions that we did issue. The first being on the financial statement audit, you could find our independent auditor's report on page 19. And in that report, we provide an opinion on your financial statements. That's what we're, as the auditors, are engaged to do. We're engaged to audit your financial statements and gain sufficient appropriate audit evidence so that we may render our opinion. That includes evaluating things such as internal controls over financial reporting, as well as assessing risk regarding your financial statements. And the opinion that we have issued over your financial statements is unmodified opinion. So you might consider that to be a clean opinion, something that you as a board would be anticipating, be wanting to receive, something that taxpayers in the community would be anticipating and wanting the district to receive as well. The second report that we did issue is on page 175. This is our Yellow Book report. Since you are your audit is required to be performed in accordance with government auditing standards, this report is required to be included, and it involves, doesn't render an opinion, but rather describes the results of testing internal controls over financial reporting, as well as compliance and other matters. So basically what you could summarize that as, if we identified any type of deficiencies in internal controls that we consider to be a material weakness or significant deficiency, those would be disclosed in this Yellow Book report. We did not identify any type of deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be a material weakness. nor did we identify or report any type of significant deficiencies in the audit. The final report that we did issue is over your audit of your federal awards. This is your single audit. This report can be found on page 179, and in this report we do provide an opinion on compliance. The federal awards that the district receives, there's strings attached, right? You have to comply with certain compliance requirements, and that opinion that we have issued is also an unmodified opinion on the major programs that we audited during the year. And those two programs that we audited, like I mentioned earlier, was the ESSER funds, Education Stabilization Fund, as well as your Child Nutrition Cluster. In terms of dollar amounts, your ESSER fund were about $13.1 million of your total federal awards, and your Child Nutrition Cluster was about $9.1 million. So overall, the results of the audit, I'll just highlight what those slides that I covered. We did issue clean, unmodified opinions over your financial statement audit, as well as over the compliance audit of your federal awards during the year. Next, there's a couple of tables I'm just going to kind of gloss over. These are table 1, your net position summary. Now, this is all the finances of the district composed in governmental activities. This includes all of your funds of the district. And you can see in 2023, your total assets were sitting at about $179 million, down slightly from the $180 million in the previous year. Some of the biggest factors were you did continue to use some of your capital project funds to continue on some of your projects that were in construction in progress during the year, and those were some of the funds that were used. The liabilities during the year you had ended at $169 million. Those liabilities are up from the previous year's $163 million. Now, the district did not issue any new debt in the form of bonds, certificates of obligations, or anything of that nature. Some of those fluctuations in liabilities were the result of OPEB liabilities as well as pension liabilities related to TRS. Next, this is your changes in net position. This could be considered similar to your income statement. And you'll see in 2023, you were at about $140 million in total revenue, down from the previous year's $148 million. A lot of that decrease was in operating grants and contributions. Majority of the ESSER funds were used in 2022, and you did have some remaining funds in 2023, but not to the extent that you had in the previous year. So. Next, I'm going to touch on your general fund. So districts operate, at the fund level. You budget for things like property taxes and foundation school funding, as well as different grants that the district receives from the state. So the general fund is kind of your main operating fund, and you'll see in regards to your general fund, your revenues and your expenditures were very comparable during the year. There was your fund balance was flat, and there was no major increase or decrease in fund balance. If you looked at last year in 2022, your revenues were at $114 million. Those exceeded your expenditures of 103, and you had a net change in fund balance in the previous year, $10.5 million. But in 2023, you'll see that revenues pretty much equaled expenditures. So you're able to maintain your fund balance level. If you looked at unassigned fund balance in terms of percentage of total expenditures, you're about 46%. One measure that most districts do is they measure how many days of operations do we have in unassigned fund balance, and the district is sitting at about 5.5 months at the end of 23 of operating expenditures in fund balance, unassigned fund balance. So that's fairly healthy fund balance to have. Most districts aim for about 90 days. You're well above that 90-day mark. So. Next, this one is a slide from last year. I believe we wanted to touch on the self-funded insurance. Your district does self-fund their insurance program, and during the year, there was not much change in total revenues and total expenditures. However, the district did transfer over from the general fund about $1.2 million to cover some of the cost of paying some of the claims in the self-insurance fund. This slide right here is of your capital assets. This is just like a roll forward balance of, you'll see your beginning balances of capital assets, your ending balances. That $7.9 million increase, those are mainly some of the increases in construction costs that you had during the year. You did complete some projects related to some parking lot improvements during the year at one of your campuses, and those were transferred out of construction in progress and moved to completed projects during the year. This next table is your long-term debt. And you can see, like as I mentioned earlier, the district did not issue any new debt. You continued to pay down your existing debt and made those payments timely during the year. So overall, your debt balance decreased from the prior year, as would be expected as you continue to pay down that existing debt. And then lastly, this is our required communications. We were required to make certain communications with those charged with governance, which would be considered a board, such as yourselves. If we encountered any type of significant difficulties during the audit, or if we had any type of disagreements with management, we'd be required to communicate what those were. We did not have any of those items. We evaluated significant estimates in relation to your financial statements and determined that they were reasonable. We were required to communicate the posted and summary of audit adjustments. There was no past adjustments. All of the audit adjustments have been posted in your books and records. And finally, we obtained written representations from management, basically stating that they provided us with all the information we needed to complete the audit. And lastly, there were some advisory comments that were made. Advisory in nature, we discussed those with management, and they provided the response to them. So that's all I have as far as the presentation of the audit report. This audit report is required to be filed with TEA, and we did do the submission. We just need to get the signed affidavit form, and we'll just upload that as an additional page, and that submission will be considered complete by TEA. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have any.
I just want to make a comment, Mr. Montemayor. So as far as everything you went over and that you looked over, everything's in line where it's supposed to be. I mean, as a district, it all looks well and good.
Correct. So I'll reference to our opinions that we issued were clean, unmodified opinions on your financial statements, meaning there were no material misstatements that were identified or that were reflected in your audit report and in your finances. And we did not issue or have any type of material weaknesses in internal controls that we communicated.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that for the public. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thanks again. I guess no findings are good findings. I just want to applaud our finance department and the team for all the hard work and the dedication. So, sir, thanks so much for the presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sir. Let's move on to agenda item 3.1, discussion, consideration of possible action and approve the 2022-2023 Seminole CISD district audit.
I'd like to go ahead and... Do we accept the presentation and we so move on this?
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Corona, second by Mr. Frutos. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I've got a motion by Mr. Frutoso. Have a second? I got a second by Mr. Silva. All in favor, raise your right hand. We adjourn this meeting, this special board meeting exactly 6:13 p.m. Thank you.